for my life in every aspect, for work, to breathe, to have my voice heard as a black woman in the workplace trying to be bullied, to feel like nobody has the right to take my livelihood away from me. I had to fight. I did not see this coming. It hit me like a brick wall. It did. This has happened to me. It could happen to anybody. But when I tell people this story, they're like, I don't think you're being honest. And when I show them some proof, like, you're being serious, aren't you? Welcome back. Hi, I'm still here. Oh, this is part 7 of my 9 to 5 story. The last video that you would have seen, if you've watched, if you've not, please, if this is the first video you're seeing, wow, we're in part 7, and I'll advise you perhaps to go watch from part 1. The playlist is there from part 1, and we're in part 7, and I'll put them in chronologic order. But if this is the first time that you've seen me, my name is Lulu. Hi, thanks for clicking on this video, and this is Lulu Diaries, where I share things that I wish I knew, things that I wish I was told. I don't want to waste too much time because there's a lot to share. Okay, I fought for my life, guys. I fought for my life. This is going to be a difficult one to film because work was throwing all sorts of curveballs. At the same time, my home life in front of me felt like it was shattering. I can manage work stress, I can, but I could not manage what was happening to me at home. I left the office that day. It was the day after the holiday, and my son, who has never been unwell, always been a sports person, has been playing professional football since he was 6 in top Premier League clubs in the country. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about him because this is about me, and let's keep it to context. Let's try to stay focused. But I'm mentioning this because that's why I said I fought for my life in every aspect, for work, to breathe, to have my voice heard as a black woman in the workplace trying to be bullied, to feel like nobody has the right to take my livelihood away from me. I had to fight for continuity purpose. When I got back from all of my trips, that was about mid-July. This is 3 weeks past now. I got an email from work. They said to me, by the way, don't talk to anybody you've worked with because we are going through an investigation. They kept saying to me, you are not guilty. You are suspended while being investigated for these allegations, and we'll get back to you to see what the next step is. Most likely we'll get an investigation manager who will interview you and other key witnesses and form an idea based on the probability of what has been said to give a verdict of if you're guilty or not. So my life was about to be put in somebody's hands to make a decision if I was guilty or not. This was very nerve-wracking. Like I said, while this happened, after traveling, I got back, and at this point, while I was traveling, I think I was on my way to Dubai or something. My son was traveling to Portugal for the start of the new season with the older boys, and I had this call. He'd been feeling unwell, but he went anyway, like these kids do. And we got back about the same time and stopped. That was the only time I was seen. After that, I don't remember anything. It's like God protects us from trauma. God makes you forget trauma, because my son got back, I think I've shared this, and literally we left from the airport, came home about late in the night, and the next day we were in the hospital. The rest was history. We were there for months because he had a very bad infection. I'm saying this because while this was going on, I had to be with him in hospital. I had 3 kids at home, did not have a job. Oh my God, like everything was crumbling in front of me. I was praying. I said, God, you have a purpose for me. I couldn't talk to my colleagues. I couldn't even talk to anybody. This is when I went into the biggest depression ever. I got off social media because imagine, my social media was scrutinized, because when they sent me a follow-up email on the investigation meeting, which I was invited to, what they said was, they talked about my all of my social media. And I will tell you guys, it's ridiculous. They said the part of me working a second job was because I was influencing maybe one healthy product on my Instagram bio, and this manager took a picture of it and said, when I said use my promo code, and he said that was extra money I was advertising. I was making coffee in the office once, and he said I was using my lanyard, which by the way you would never know where I worked, and said I was advertising a product which could be used as bad branding for the company. Just things that did not make much sense. So I was like, is that it? So at that point, my only thing that gave me, I have friends, but my closest friends were my community that I'd built on that channel. I couldn't post. I felt watched. This manager went through all of my social media. Literally, he searched for me. He searched for me and found my LinkedIn. He took a screenshot and said I had a business, even though it said it'd been closed for years, because he gives you all of that. Ignored my main job, went to an account that I have now closed. I didn't even know the password. Put it like proof. Went to my Instagram, took a picture, said I was promoting products. He went to my TikTok, where I make fun videos, and said I was posting during office hours when they were all scheduled posts. Went to my YouTube, and when I will schedule a post, I'll probably be at work, and a video that I had filmed months ago will go live. He will circle it and say, Phil, this guy went through Facebook. He went and searched for me and sent it like proof. Everybody I have spoken to, when they look at my social media and how I have never discussed what I do, the job that I do, or where I work, and look at the kind of content I create, mostly helping women to be healthy, talking about some of my personal health challenges and how I've overcome them, losing weight, it doesn't make sense. And where on earth don't you get encouraged not to have a side thing? So this video is for anybody who creates content. This has happened to me. It could happen to anybody. But when I tell people this story, they're like, I don't think you're being honest. And when I show them some proof, people that I'm very close to, they're like, you're being serious, aren't you? During this period, my uncle, who I have talked about him on this channel, I got him to open a TikTok account because he had a lot of knowledge to share. And he's in a very, very prestigious profession. In fact, he's a solicitor. And he got an award, actually, for his involvement and posting on TikTok. And at the same time, I was going through this. Talk about paradox, irony, and I don't know what other adjectives or other words to use. But this was my plight. I did not see this coming. It hit me like a brick wall. It did. When I saw the manager who was investigating and she met me, the first thing she said is, by the way, I actually saw your social media and you do a lot of brilliant content. I like it. But let's go to the point that brought us here. And she said, when your manager spoke to you about all of these issues, why didn't you bring them up? And I said, let me just start from somewhere. The first time I heard about any issues was the day I was suspended. She looked at HR because it was a very, very formal meeting, an investigative meeting to know if to move it to a disciplinary stage or not. And I said, genuinely, no. She asked again, are you telling me that none of these allegations of not doing your duties, filming, cyber threats, not signing this form, or filming in secure areas, are you saying to me that you were not warned? I said, the last person I saw on my last day was my manager, and he gave me a hug and he said, enjoy your holidays. At that point, her body language just said, what am I doing here? I'm a senior member of staff in this prestigious institution, and you're bringing me here to talk about this? You could see that in her face without her saying it. And the details of it about work, she said, what job do you have? I said, I don't have a job. You can check my P whatever, what I've earned this year. Check, HR can get those records. I can give you. I had just one job. In fact, I had never done my CV up in 7.5 years. Never. I didn't even know where my CV was. She looked again. She said, what is the income? And HR interjected and said, oh, what he meant was this side thing. I said, basically, I am very health conscious. I've had some health challenges. And what I talk about sometimes are products that I actually buy and use. I give a shout out. And I could also have affiliate marketing where I get a percentage of anybody who buys that product using my code, and it could be like $5 a month or less, depending. She said, is that the job? I said, apparently so. She said, this company that you had, I said, it was closed. I told her what it was. I said, during lockdown, I was one of the few people who were shielded. I had to put my creativity into something. It was never about money. I created other things, not just those bags I shared in episode 3 and episode 6, or the steps. I also did a lot of freebies for the key workers, the rainbow stickers. I had them all over my estate. I had them. I said I was putting my creativity because mentally I was shielded. I was the first batch of people in the UK that were classed as needing to shield at the time. I got taken off later, but that really affected me, so I put my time into creativity. And she just sat there thinking, oh my God, this is a cook-up. HR did not ask these questions. About the cyber attack, she said, how can you be posting about your coffee in a clear wall in the kitchen cause an attack? And it was laughable. That meeting went really well because I got emotional at some point because I was in a deep place. My son on that day had to have surgery. I left my son in the hospital. I left my phone on because he was meant to be taken to hospital at 9 o'clock, and I said my meeting was at 10. But I know the hospital. Sorry if I'm getting... I promise not to do this. I promise not to. Promised. It's hard. It really is. Anyway, okay, I'm back. Sorry, I'm back. So I left him, and I left the nurses to give me a call once he was due to go into theater. But I knew that I had to go and defend myself because this was on my head for weeks, not knowing if I had a job, all of what I was going through. And the meeting was about 2 hours, and the woman, everybody in the room at some point really got... I did that meeting, and all the other allegations, I defended them because the main thing is none of them were classed as reason to suspend somebody. And everybody in the room at some point felt the same. And I even went, and after asking all of the questions she asked me, she said, do you want to ask us anything? I said, I want to know which of these allegations is classed as big enough or serious enough to be suspended. And HR said, sometimes we can downgrade it, but we had to suspend you first. She did not say sorry, but you can see that she felt like this was a wrong decision. I drove back to hospital, and my son had a successful surgery the next morning. I thank God, because in everything else, nothing mattered like my kid's health. Nothing. Well-being is really important, and yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because it's not about him. It's just part of my story. And why, when I came to you guys in October, I was a nervous wreck. The number of calls I had after that video from people who found the video randomly, I knew that this is a small world. My main channel till today has been abandoned. I feel like it's been desecrated. I feel like my privacy was infringed to the point of people analyzing each video I post. And I've not had the nerves to go back. That's why I started this baby, because the only way my life became like I'm an introvert. It doesn't look that way because I'm always out loud, but deep down I can talk to a few people, but I don't have a lot of friends anymore. I actually did a video about that. You can watch it somewhere on the channel. Then I turned 40, I realized that. And then what made it worse was because of the fact that I went into a depression. I cut off from everybody. I wasn't taking calls. I uninstalled Instagram. I uninstalled TikTok. Till today, I have not put TikTok back. I uninstalled WhatsApp because of pressure, because of my son's health. People asking how he was doing because he's in the public eye. I was losing my mind and having work to do this. But this video again is getting too long. I was hoping that I could close this. I fought so hard, and after that interview I knew that the chance of me keeping my job was high, but I felt betrayed when I read some of the things that my manager said. He mentioned the incident of not getting in touch with me, one incident on a Friday that I was actually at work, and it could be proven that I was at work because I used my swipe card in the car park. He used that incident despite the fact that he had never brought it up to me again. I felt like this was victimization. I felt attacked. I was just like, oh my God, all the red flags. And I decided to spin things around and open a grievance against him and everybody who was involved in my case. And if you believe still that your employer loves you, think again. I'm going to end this part here, and I'll go to the next part, which will be the conclusion of this series, hopefully, because I've been filming for a few hours now and I have a lot to do. I'm looking for a job. But maybe after this, somebody might look at me and feel like they want to invest, because what I really love to do is talk to you guys. I have big plans. I want to, anyway, I'm putting a lot out of the bag, sharing too much, so I'm going to end this part here. And if this is the first time you've seen me, Lulu here, I'm your friend, I'm your silent friend. I don't know you guys. If you know me and you like my content, give me a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next part, which will be part 8.